Hello and welcome back to another puzzle video. Today we're actually looking at a puzzle that I had previously posted and felt just a bit unhappy with the way it turned out. So I've gone back to the drawing board and I decided to repost this puzzle in two kind of tiers, two parts, to make it a little more evergreen for future viewers and just a little more coherent as a puzzle. Every good puzzle should be fun to solve, and I feel like this one's a little more fun. So, let's take a look around. We are the Woodland Alliance. This is an endgame puzzle. You might not think that based on the scoreline up at the top here, but Woodland Alliance is sitting at 17. They're going to win at the end of this turn. We're playing to win. Taking a look around the map, the Woodland Alliance has a base in the bottom right corner, this rabbit base here. And we've got sympathy in kind of this split configuration here, and two warriors far from home. Okay, we are playing with the Corvid Conspiracy as well. Corvid's doing a nice job of getting some plots down on the map. And one plot in particular is drawing my interest. And that's this plot over on the right. It's called a snare. And in a clearing with a snare, you can't place any pieces there. So for instance, spreading sympathy. And you can't move any warriors out of there. So for all intents and purposes, our Woodland Alliance warrior here is just kind of stuck. Not going anywhere. Okay, quickly glancing at the Eyrie, they seem to have this nice stripe of control as well as this roost over here. It's kind of fun to note that the Eyrie can't recruit at this roost because that would count as placing a piece in that clearing, an enemy piece. And they can't move out of there. So snares are particularly deadly for the Eyrie. And lastly, we'll take a look at the cats. The cats have their keep in the lower left and are doing a pretty nice job of trying to maintain some control over these key clearings close to the keep. They are evidently fighting over this clearing though. Pretty important, want to hold on to it. It seems like the Eyrie might be trying to beat them up a little bit there. But all that is to say, it's our turn as the Woodland Alliance, and we're going to play to win. But in order to make a plan about how we're going to win, we need to start by observing our hand of cards and our starting supporters. So for the hand of cards, we have a crossbow, we have a travel gear, and a rabbit ambush. Let's minimize that hand. And our starting hand of supporters, we have bird and 3 foxes. Okay. All right, so it's our bird song. The first question is, do we have any potential revolts? And looking around this map, the answer is no. We don't have any supporters that would allow us to revolt anywhere. So then immediately the question becomes, where do we spread sympathy? Last thing to note is we are working with 4 officers. And this will become very important as we move on to tier 2 of this puzzle later on. But for now, if you're an advanced Woodland Alliance player, you have all the information you need to solve this puzzle and win the game for the Woodland Alliance. I encourage you to pause the video, take a few minutes and figure it out. And for everybody else, let's talk about where to spread sympathy. That really is the heart of this first tier of the puzzle. So, given our supporters here, it looks like we're going to be spreading to fox clearings. And on our sympathy track here, this range of sympathy, these all cost 2 supporters. So the next 2 sympathy we spread is going to cost 2 supporters. We can spread 2 times. But let's look at those fox clearings. Got 4 candidates. None of them have sympathy yet, so let's see where it's possible. Right away, there's one we can easily disqualify. You all guessed it. It's the clearing with the snare. Can't spread sympathy there. That leaves us with 3 options. One endgame principle for the Woodland Alliance is you want to spread sympathy as far away as possible from your base. The reason being, during evening phase, you're going to be marching around and organizing. Any clearing that you can't access on foot from your base, you want to spread sympathy there. So, I think that makes this top corner a really good candidate. Right? There's no chance that we are going to make it all the way over there. That would be just, I don't know how we do it. So, call that a spread. And then that gives us a choice between these two. And this is where things get kind of interesting. So, if you're an intermediate player, go ahead and pause your video now and figure out which of these two clearings we should spread sympathy to set us up for the best turn possible. All right, I'll give you a couple seconds for that. For everybody else, let's talk through it. Like I said, you want to spread sympathy as far away as possible, to clearings that you can't reach on foot, which now begs the question, can you reach either of these clearings on foot? Let's take a look. Let's start with Cancun. To reach Cancun, we'd have to march and march. In this clearing, though, the cats have a presence of 4, and the Woodland Alliance is only going to be able to recruit 1 warrior here. We're going to have 3 warriors. It's going to be less than the amount needed here. So we'd pretty much just get stuck in this clearing with no hope of moving on. Okay, so probably not possible to reach Cancun. What about Texas? Well, for Texas, we can, later this turn, recruit 1 here. Join up with this guy. The cats, the birds, they all have a presence of 3, so we have to get to 4 in order to move out of there. But I think if we can recruit at our base and then move in here and join this meeple, that'll get us to 4, and we can reach Texas on foot. All right, well then that kind of answers the question, right? We want to spread sympathy to the clearing we can't reach. That's Cancun. All right, let's see that on the board. There it is. And that just goes to show that a good Woodland Alliance turn, you have to kind of like work it out before you spread any sympathy at all. If you're just going to go in willy-nilly, you'll miss chances to score points. Okay, so it's going to be our daylight phase. So let's progress with our daylight. First of all, we have 2 cards to craft. Let's go ahead and craft those. That's a crossbow and a boot for 2 points. And we have 1 lone rabbit ambush in hand. Let's go ahead and make that an officer. So now we're working with 5 officers. And as we move into evening, pretty straightforward here. Going to kind of do just the back of the envelope things that we did before. We're going to start by recruiting at home. We're going to move into the central clearing. And as you notice, the Woodland Alliance rules this clearing now. And that's everything you need in order to leave it. So let's take a second move over to Texas. And we'll go ahead and organize twice for those last 7 points. All right, let's see it. Victory for Tier 1. Feels good. This is just showing that principle of like spread far away and then get to where you can get to. Really nice. So okay, that's Tier 1. But this wouldn't be a Waterman puzzle if we didn't have some kind of crazy mechanic involved here. So let's reset and just change 1 small variable to make a ridiculously big difference. And that variable is going to be the officer count. So we are reset back to the beginning of evening phase. So you'll notice same sympathy spread. We've crafted the boot and the crossbow. Everything's all the same. The only thing we didn't do is use this ambush to train up any officers because we literally can't. There's no more warriors left in the supply, right? We've got 4 out on the board. We've got 6 trained up as officers sitting in the officer's box. We're out of warriors. We're at 23 points. We got to spread sympathy twice to win, and we can do it without rolling any dice. All right. So if you are an advanced Woodland Alliance player, go ahead and pause the video now. Figure out how we're going to get that sympathy on the board without rolling any dice. And for everybody else, let's go through it because it's a little bit of a stylish finish here. So let's talk through it. First thing we have to discuss is the snare. The main thing preventing the Woodland Alliance from winning this game is being able to rule this clearing and move over to Texas. Right? That's the real puzzle we have to solve. And the way to solve that puzzle is to somehow figure out what to do with our Woodland Alliance meeple here. How can this guy contribute? We don't want to battle if at all possible, because battling is just a lot of randomness that, you never know how it's going to go. So instead, let's kind of think a bit creatively about some of our components and how we can use them to win this game without battling. Start by talking about a snare. Snare says, while face up, enemy pieces cannot be placed in or moved from its clearing. Okay, pretty simple. This guy can't move out of this clearing, and there's no way to place any sympathy in that clearing. But let's take a closer look at the organize action for the Woodland Alliance. In evening, taking the organize action says, remove warrior, place sympathy there. It's a principle in Root that you do as much of an action as possible. So for instance, if you have in the decree a bunch of recruit and you run out of birds to place from your supply, you're going to turmoil, but you place as many as you can before that. One example is there's 8 wood tokens for the cats, and if for some reason they've got a bunch of wood that's stacking up, once you hit that cap of 8 wood, each sawmill will try and place as much wood as it can, but if you run out, it just doesn't place anything. It still tries, but you don't have to complete the entire action. So in this case, we're going to use organize to just disappear our warrior from that clearing. Right? We're going to organize and get this guy back in the supply without placing any sympathy there. We just have to find a way to extricate this guy from the snare clearing. That's all we have to do. So let's go ahead and do it. All right, we organize, and woof, just like that, our Alliance warrior disappears. We're going to recruit at the base, and then it's the same solution as before. We're going to take a move, we're going to take another move, and then organize twice to finish it out for the last 7 points. And that's victory number 2. That's the second tier. That's the style victory. I'd love to know from anyone out there if they ever get a chance to use this mechanic in a game of theirs. Something interesting to note, this actually also works if you have any warriors trapped at the keep. I've tried this on Root Digital, and they don't let you do it on Root Digital, unfortunately. But rules as written, it's definitely possible. I think, admittedly, it's a bit of a fringe case, but super stylish. So let me know if this has been helpful for you, made you think a little more creatively about the game. And thank you once again for joining me for such a great puzzle. Hoping to bring you guys some more in the future. And until then, I will see you all around the woodland.